Happy St. Totteringham's Day to everybody, especially to Casey and all the Tottenham fans out there who are crying about that 3-2 Arsenal victory, which was so monumentous in so many different ways and almost ended in me drowning myself in the Hudson River. But nonetheless, Casey, you were there, so I just want to hear about the atmosphere. I mean, it must have been a tale of two halves in so many different ways. I mean, that was one of the most insane, like, every 15 minutes was like a different match. It was
Yeah.
literally, it's what you wanted in North London Derby, like, as a neutral. Like, that's what people were upset about when Arsenal City played. Like, we didn't get that kind of, like, match. But
Yep.
that's what makes a derby a derby. Like, that is what makes it so different.
Yeah, I'll touch on the atmosphere and then I'll let you start on our analysis and where you want to start there. The atmosphere was great. For a little bit. So as they come out and for whatever reason, all of the pregame and up until the lineup happens, they play EDM music. Like I've saw people touch on this on Twitter. It's a little odd. They play like aggressive EDM music for maybe like 2 consecutive hours during warm-ups. And then once all the music shuts off and they finish handshakes and they start singing when the Spurs go marching in, that was a moment that I will never forget. It was absolutely rocking. I got the chills when it happened. And the entire time I was pretty not pessimistic about the experience and going, but transparently, I didn't think we were going to get a result. And after that, I was like, fuck it. We're going to go win. We're going to go win this match. So once in a lifetime experience. We'll never forget it. It was amazing despite the result, but definitely disappointed in just how the game went. Because at halftime, I was truly like, I thought honestly, I texted my friends this. I was like, I think we can get one, and then it at least makes the game interesting, whether or not we get the second. But at 3, like the atmosphere, people were ready to leave. People were shitting on this, that, and the other. Like the
I
atmosphere
mean, at
was just
55
dead.
minutes, there was still half the fans were not back in the stadium. You could see on TV there was nobody in the stadium till 55-minute mark. I mean, it
Yeah, well,
was
granted,
people
the
were drinking.
lines. Yeah,
Yeah.
the lines for beer were long. I even got into my seat at like the 50th minute. Everyone needed a drink after that first half. Yeah, but that's enough on the atmosphere. It was fantastic up until the goal, and then we tried to get them going again. And then when we didn't get the pen and Saka scored on the counter, it's
Yeah.
tough at that point when you're down 2-0 in the first half to really get it going. And then I don't remember exactly what minute it was, but it felt like the Kai goal was shortly after that, and then everyone was like almost depressed.
Yeah, I mean, you called it and spoke it into existence, so we appreciate it. Set pieces, you got absolutely dominated on. Even on the ones we didn't score on, we could have scored on nearly everyone. I mean, Tomiyasu almost scored a header from the freaking 18-yard box, completely
We
wide open. The
we haven't
marking
gotten
on
we haven't gotten to a first ball on a set piece the
and
entire season.
and honestly, that's what holds back. Like, first of all, Van de Ven was incredible the entire match. He is
Yeah.
awesome. His recovery speed is incredible. But like, that is the next level for him. Is like he is as much of a problem as anyone on those set pieces. There's just, and I think it's a zonal marking issue. I'm never a huge fan of zonal marking. Like, I'd
I
much rather
mean,
go man to man. Even if you have a mismatch, man to man, at least every man's got a body on him. It makes the header at least hard
it
to get at. I mean,
it
ridiculous.
actually makes no sense. I don't mind like a zonal where you have maybe like your 3 most dominant aerial players playing at the front of the 6, in the middle, and in the back, and they're the ones who are supposed to probably clear it, and then you have everyone else on the field marking up man to man.
Yeah.
We went completely zonal where you have the entire team staring at the ball, and then Arsenal sets up their 4 best aerial winners behind every single person. So whether or not, like, you just have no idea. They're coming from behind you. Wherever the runners are going, they were coming from behind them. We're blind to every single runner. The entire thing is just an absolute joke. I mean, the first one actually was a pretty bad corner by Saka. Like, in theory, that shouldn't even have beat the first man, and Højbjerg with a brilliant
Well, I
finish.
think that also speaks to zonal marking, though. It's like Hoiberg doesn't know where his man is because he's not
Right.
marking a man, and so he has to put his head on that. And obviously, he completely botches the
Yeah.
clearance. But I think there's a different element as if you're in a man-to-man marking situation, you kind of have a better concept of what's in front of you, what's behind you, and what your responsibility is. And
Yeah.
Tottenham clearly don't have that, whatever the structure is. And I think Ange made some weird ass comment was like,
I agree.
if I thought set pieces was our biggest issue, I'd spend all my time coaching on that. It's like, no, do what all the best clubs are doing now and hire a set piece coach.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference. That's why we're the best in the world at attacking them, and we're one of the best at defending them. And if you look at Arsenal 4 years ago, we were the worst set piece defending team in the league. We gave up the most goals off of corner kicks in the league, and now we are the best on both ends. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's not.
I love Ange, and actually one of the best parts about him is his press conferences, and he's always extremely well spoken and never makes excuses and is great. This was the first time I was like, genuinely, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's been a problem for us the entire season, and the fact that you're neglecting it, it actually is one of our biggest problems, if not the biggest, honestly. So
for sure.
Like, he's deeper in the weeds and he knows exactly how he wants his tactics to be played. So there probably is a bigger error to him. But as an outsider, it is our biggest issue, especially recently, and especially playing a team like Arsenal, where we knew
obviously
that they were going
like
to
look to,
where we knew they were going to look to capitalize on that. So that was super frustrating among a ton of other things, because
before we get
it.
To this,
yeah.
So you go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, which I'm sure you were about to touch on, is you even tweeted it. Like, that was one of the worst Arsenal performances you've seen in a long time.
All year.
And it doesn't matter, because at this point in a title race, it could look beautiful. It can look disgusting.
100%.
All you have to do is get 3 points. So I don't take anything away from them on that front. But, like, it's just disappointing that we were at home, didn't even get the A Arsenal, probably not the B Arsenal, a C Arsenal. And if you defend set pieces, you're 100% getting a point, and I'm pretty confident that we take all 3 points.
The game was just so, like, it was ruckus. Like, because honestly, as bad as we were, like, you guys didn't really create a whole lot either. Like, it was just whipping in crosses for a lot of the match. I mean, you didn't create more than we did, and we didn't create much. So,
well,
your best chances were Romero. Your best chances were Romero headers that he missed off of set pieces and one off of a non-set piece.
Yeah, I push back on that only slightly. I'm not saying we were fantastic, but I definitely think we can both agree that we were the better side over 90 minutes. And granted, the last however many minutes, you were not
the better. Here's the thing: Arsenal set up the way that, and I was all for this, which is set up in a mid block. And the only way an Ange Tottenham team is beating you is if you let them beat you on the counterattack. We weren't going to let you beat us on the counterattack. You had 0 good counterattack opportunities. And that's why we won the match. To me, that's why we won the match.
But I also
think we did. So go ahead.
I think we did create good chances, especially in the first half. Romero hits the post on the free kick, but he actually had an even better chance where he headed it wide. I think probably 5 to 10 minutes. Earlier on that.
Probably didn't see that from being in the stadium, but they called a foul on that actually before the head.
Oh, did they?
Romero punched Odegaard in the face. Not on purpose, but he had blown the whistle. The chance never would have counted.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I didn't.
It would have been a sick. It would have been a sick goal. The one that bounced on the ground and just went wide of the post, right? You're talking about?
And then and then you have the Son ball, which was he took it down well, the ball over the top, and then absolutely skied the finish. I've never seen something
in the worst form I've seen him in since he first came to Tottenham.
So yeah, I think Arsenal did. I think they set up their tactics really well in the fact to where, like, yes, don't get beat on the counter, especially how we were set up, and then they filtered everything to the wide areas, and then you're crossing it to not a number 9. Like, if Charlison is the number 9 in that match, and you actually have Son out on the left where he can either... I think the best attributes about Son is the fact that he's dual-footed, so he can cut in, and you have to respect that 100% on his right foot, or he can get to the line and dink in across with his left foot. And I thought he was actually fairly dangerous once Richarlison came on out wide. But I know you were about to touch on it, and I'll be the first to say it. We needed our James Maddison to get 3 points, and that was the worst I've ever seen him play in a Tottenham shirt. And it's extremely disappointing because the only thing I will say is Son, as the number 9, was so inactive and causing so little issues for Saliba and Gabriel that if he's stretching the line or even being more of a concern for them too, it potentially opens up pockets in that space behind Son for Madison to operate. The fact that he was so inactive caused absolutely zero issues to those center backs the entire game, made it essentially very easy for a combination of the midfield and the center backs to make him an absolute non-threat. But regardless, he was absolutely atrocious, and in a game where you needed him the most, in a game where they are sitting in a mid block, and you need a number 10 to be creative and create chances, we got the worst version of him. And I think that was also pretty crucial.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and also I think that a lot of that had to do with Arteta's setup, which was we're not going to let Son play off the back shoulder. We'll play the deepest line we've played all year. We'll have 28% possession, and to
Yeah.
me, like this win from this Arsenal team is the most impressive thing I've seen from us all season because we never ever win the games when we're not at our best ever. Not since like early 2010 Wenger era do we win the games where we're not at our best. It has always required us to be at our best. And even when we're at our best, those silly mistakes like Raya clearing it off Romero's chest or Declan Rice going to clear a ball and not thinking about who's around him and kicking a guy in the leg, like the fact that we actually won a game where those two things happen, it just, to me, feels like Arsenal are turning a corner where we're leaving this banter era that kind of has just plagued us for years. And even if we don't go and win this title, the fact that we could have gone to Tottenham and won, no matter the fashion, we won away in the last 5 matches in a must-win situation. That's massive. Like the fact that we didn't let that Aston Villa loss, which if you look at it from the wide scope, is not meaningless, but it's one loss in 16. I mean, we are on pace. The pace that we're setting since January 1 of 2024 is 101 points over a league season. That's better than the Centurions, Manchester City. Like, what we're doing is as good as anyone has ever done in any spell in Premier League history. And the fact that we're able to win games in different fashions, we're able to set up in a low mid block. We're able to go out and, attack Liverpool. We're able to defend against Man City and take a 0-0 draw because that's what makes sense in the situation. Like, Arsenal has never ever been in this situation in my lifetime. Arsene Wenger did not coach that way. He did not play that way, and I loved him for it. But that's not what's required at this point in the world of soccer. And I think Arteta is finally really taken the next step as a manager, and that's being able to win in many different ways. And even when things don't go your way, and you know what? Yeah, it helped that you scored an own goal. It helped that the referee decided that incidental contact was not a penalty because no matter what the ref decided on the field for that second goal that happened to Arsenal was going to stand. The ref decided the incidental contact was not a penalty and VAR could not overturn it. That was lucky. That went our way. Doesn't always go our way. So everything kind of had to go our way, and we actually took advantage of that, which is huge because that's not going to happen a lot. It doesn't happen a lot for Arsenal, and I'm recognizing that it did happen in that match. So we were not necessarily the better team. We were not our best self. We got help from referees. We had a tight offside call that was so small, and I hate those calls. Went our way. Like, everything went our way, and we actually took advantage of it. So it has to be twofold. And you know what? It lets me believe for a few more weeks that maybe Manchester City, who should have dropped points to Nottingham Forest, that was brutal that Chris Wood decided to be the worst he's been all season on his day. But you know what? All I can say is I hope Tottenham are not a small club and don't have small club mentality and go out and try to beat Manchester City on the last week of the season because I know their fans don't want that. But that is not a good precedent for Ange to set if he's going to go out and play some kids. And I hope that we can see Tottenham bring the Premier League title to North London, but obviously for the rivals.
So before we get to the Man City fixture, let's touch on, we'd be remiss not to touch on the referees. The thing, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I'm glad that we talked about how much we hate those minuscule decisions last week so that it didn't come from a biased perspective. But again, that is not what I understand the offsides.
Did you see my whole paragraph I posted on Twitter last week about this?
Yes.
It's just idiotic. You can't tell when the ball you can't tell where his back was.
And also,
it's so stupid.
Usually I feel like the lines are actually pretty good. I felt like even the lines that they drew on Gabriel and Van de Ven were absolutely made up. Was it his butt? Was it his back? Was it Van de Ven's knee? That one is so frustrating. Well, one, I will never forget those 2 minutes of pure bliss in the section when we thought that goal counted and made it 1-1. That was absolutely fantastic. But that's just so frustrating. And Romero actually tweeted about it, that the same thing happened in the West Ham match against us, where it was the same thing. I actually don't know the rule
Wait, but
because
he was that's been going viral on Arsenal Twitter because Romero is actually the one who kept the West Ham player onside in that.
No. I know. The thing I actually don't know the rule is I understand that it has to be deliberate, but does a deliberate block count
No, that is not
as
the rule. Tottenham fans were misreading the rule. That's also been clarified on Twitter today. If the ball is deflected off of a shot, if you go to deliberately block it and deflect it, it is still considered the action of the shot.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything else.
It
would have to be like a really slowly rolling ball and a clearance.
Right.
Sticking your foot out at a shot.
Yeah.
And then that would be like saying, think about it. If you, let's say that shot didn't get deflected and Raya saved it, that's a deliberate save. The ball's not that wouldn't make any sense.
No. I assumed, because I had saw it from most Tottenham people, that they may be misinterpreting it wrong. But regardless of the fact, is those tiny decisions like just aren't what VAR was brought in to make anyways. And then we move to the Kulusevski thing. And the reason I am so pissed off is because VAR has now given referees an option to essentially not ref the game, because he made multiple decisions where, well, first off, the screenshot where he is about 5 yards and staring directly at Declan Rice, kicking Ben Davies directly in the thigh and not giving the decision, confirms everything that we thought, that he came into the game and didn't want to make any decisions. So when you have the Kulusevski thing, if he, obviously, as you said, if he gives that as a penalty, it's not overturned and it stays as a penalty. And he chose to not referee the game. So he said, if it's clear enough, VAR will tell me to go to the monitor, overturn it as a penalty. That contact would not have been overturned if he gave it on the field. And then he does the same thing to where the Ben Davies challenge, there's just no way he missed it, but he was like, if it was a clear error, they'll tell me to go check it. And that's the part of VAR that makes me so upset, is he now has the license to essentially just not referee the game. And if he misses anything glaring, then they'll tell him to go reverse the decision. And I think that is honestly the most upsetting part, is he essentially was like, I'm not going to make any big decisions in this match. And if it's so clear, someone else will make the decision for me. And
I tend to agree that like the VAR, like the problem with VAR is official doesn't make a decision. It's the same problem with the offside flag. It's like that Van de Ven goal 10 years ago. Usually the assumption is when a defender is that open behind off of a shot and a deflection, they're always putting the flag up. Now they don't put it up. And so now we're getting these tiny decisions that nobody's really making. It's like decisions should be made on the field and then go reverse them if you have enough footage. By the way, I don't think this is a penalty. Like, neither guy sees each other. There's very incidental contact. I think whatever call on the field would have stood.
Is right.
The Davies one, how he missed the Davies one is beyond me. Declan Rice has gone ahead and kicked him as hard as he possibly can.
He couldn't have been in a better position. He couldn't have been in a better position either. That was the confirmation to me that said, like, he just decided that he's not going to make any big decisions and let VAR do it, which is the most frustrating part. So that's definitely tough, because not only does the Kulusevski, it's a 2-goal swing, because then the counterattack starts. How we leave Ben Davies isolated on Saka,
that first
is
touch by
the
Saka
worst.
Was incredible.
No, he was
awesome.
great. He was definitely great. I mean, there's just, and again, to Arteta's credit, every time there was a goal kick or a free kick, it was to Saka every single time, who bodied up Davies, turned him every single time, and then starting in like the 65th or 70th minute, Davies just had enough and started chopping him down every single time. And honestly, I don't blame him. He couldn't deal with him the entire match, and it's tough. I mean, Udogie getting injured right before we have to play Salah and Saka is definitely not best case by any means, especially in a game like this where if you guys were dominating possession and it forced Udogie to mentally be on and his positioning to be very good consistently throughout the match, maybe Davies is better for that. But on a counter-attacking where it's like physicality and pace, Udogie would have been massive in this match, which is obviously just extremely unfortunate. And then the last thing was I saw on Twitter, once again, Reddit, so I didn't put much on, but if this is true, I would be extremely pissed. They're saying that he was told actually to go look at the Kulusevski foul.
That's not true.
Okay. All right. So that's why I didn't believe it.
That's why I didn't believe it. Chalked off as completely not true.
Because in my head, I'm like, I don't even think that's allowed. Like, if VAR is telling you to go look at something, but they were saying the NBC crew, like Robbie Musto or someone was saying that that was.
If you go back and watch it, that's not what they said.
Yeah, so I found that very hard to believe. I found that very hard to believe. But if that was the case, I would have been fucking irate. But in my head, the whole time, I was like, I actually don't think they're allowed to tell them no. And in a game where he was letting VAR ref for him, I doubt that would be the case anyways.
No, yeah, I mean, the good news is for next year, like, the offside thing is just going to become automated. We're not going to have to see any more of these lines drawn, and hopefully it'll just at least be less frustrating, right? Like, if they're just saying, okay, that's offside, and I don't have to see it, I honestly feel a little bit better. Like, I don't want to see any more of these toenail ones where we're the thing that's most frustrating, and I know I've already tweeted this and I've talked about it, but it's like you cannot tell when a ball leaves a player's foot in non-4K, 60 frame per second footage. It's not possible. There's a blurriness of the ball as it's leaving. So it's like, we're just randomly deciding of what they do is they find the 3 frames and they choose the middle one. And so we're still just guessing here on what the fuck it is. It's just very frustrating. And I mean, if I were a Tottenham fan, I'd be irate. I would have felt like I was cheated a little bit in some of this match. And I mean, at the same time, we should have never let you back in it, but that's just how the game goes. And I mean,
no, and honestly, it just sucks. Cause on another day, like, it sucks because the offsides, we agree, is just stupid. Those extremely tight offsides, the same thing that happened to Haji. And then it's a 2-goal swing to where if the ref on another day, 1, just sees it differently, or 2 is swindled by the home fans to give that for us, the soccer goal doesn't happen, and it's 1-1. So yeah, it was extremely disappointing. And the only other thing is, and Ange even commented on it, is half the team didn't even look up for a North London derby, like they wanted to fight for something
of Tottenham's team.
Yeah, which
I actually think a lot of that has to do with having 2 weeks off. I don't know that that's an advantage. Like I think it was the advantage to you in the second half that you guys clearly had fresher legs. Like our guys were dead in the second half. But I also think there's something to it where it's like you're not playing every week. You're not like Lee Dixon. Who I think was great as a player. I'm not the biggest fan of him as a commentator. I think he's just like a little bit of a sourpuss, but I think a lot of these old British guys are. I actually thought he put it quite well, which was like, I prefer to play every 3 days, get into a run, get the fire going, get yourself hyped up. It's hard to get yourself hyped up when you're preparing every single day for 2 weeks for one match.
I would agree with that if it was Crystal Palace away, but you're at home. In a North London derby, the atmosphere was there to start the match. Like, if you can't get up for that, because people were up for it. Romero showed how much playing for Tottenham in a North London derby meant to him. And Ange even said we have to get Romero's mentality instilled into more of the players. And that is a little bit of the most disappointing part. And I think sitting in the South section, that was the biggest takeaway, is disappointment from true Tottenham fans, where they just felt like this team wasn't fighting for the badge.
Timo Werner was awful before he got injured. Son was terrible the whole match. Madison ghosted. You had plenty of guys who did. Højbjerg was awful until he got hooked.
Yeah, so I have to give Ange credit, but also not, because the Basuma one was an easy change to make because he was awful, and Højbjerg ended up being just as bad, if not significantly worse. But I do have to give him credit. In no way did I think Kulusevski should have started. He was probably our best player.
Kulusevski's always good against us. He loves. I think he was an Arsenal fan growing up. I think he just loves to play against us. He was the
only one. He was the only one who wanted to take the ball in difficult areas and make something of it. Like, he broke the lines multiple times. He took on people. Like, his final product still isn't always amazing, but he did exactly what we were begging Madison to do the entire match. So I have to give him credit. And it's just tough because Brennan Johnson's significantly better as a right winger than he is a left winger, and they happen to play the same position. So when he came
wasn't
on,
creating much on the left wing.
No, and it's funny because, like, in theory, he should want to get down. Like, he was still trying to get down
He's
the line.
He's like a true old-fashioned winger, though, the way like Theo Walcott was, where he just wants to use his pace and he can protect the ball by having it on his outside foot and using the line as his friend.
Exactly.
And on the left side, he
didn't even want to cut it. Yeah, he didn't even want to cut in. So, like, he still wants to get to that byline every time. So you can. There's wingers who can play both sides. He's pretty clearly a right winger and a very good 100%. One when he's there. But I'm still confident that Son, Richarlison, and Brennan Johnson are our best front three, and Kulusevski maybe. You just so
rarely see it. I know Richarlison's been injured and whatever's. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think Tottenham played a pretty good match. Like, that was the first match since the beginning part of the season where I've watched Tottenham and I've been like, okay, under Ange with the right recruitment, Tottenham have a chance to come back to this regular top four conversation. I kind of, the first half of the season, I kind of disregarded because new manager bounce, whatever, and then you guys crumbled. Then I think you were dealing with some injury woes and whatever. This was a huge match. You guys did show up for it. I'm going to give all credit to Tottenham on that, as hard as that is for me to do. You even fought through the fact that things weren't going your way. You took advantage of a couple lucky breaks. I mean, Son's penalty was outrageously good because Raya gets the right way, and he just smashed it. Unlucky. On another day, maybe you get a point, maybe you get 3, but not today. And to me, this is poetic justice for that game, that match 3 seasons ago when Son got that bullshit fucking penalty. Rob Holding got a bullshit double yellow.
That was not a bullshit double yellow. He brought him down easily. Like, he just...
The first one was his first foul of the match. That was a bullshit first yellow. The second yellow was completely correct. The penalty was one of the worst penalties ever given.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, things go your way. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Do Tottenham make top 4?
No. So we'll get to the Man City thing, and it's like... I honestly think Thursday will be a big decider of kind of who stays and who's involved. And we've lost 2 on the spin, and then you have Chelsea away after what happened, Chelsea at home. And if people aren't getting up for that at Stamford Bridge, I think that's going to be a big red flag to Ange. And I think this game is either we're going to have a great response to what happened, and we're going to respond and win at Chelsea. And if we don't, well, obviously if we don't win, top 4 is done. But I think a lot of people will either be out the side or on the bench for the rest of the season, and then we'll decide what goes on over the summer. But if we get the win at Chelsea, and Liverpool, I think, is coming to terms with the fact that they're out, and Klopp and Salah get into a fight. So top 4, let me rephrase my answer. Top 4 is not done. No, I don't think so. As I told you, I don't think Villa is going to pick up as many points as people think. They should have lost the match to Chelsea.
I mean, that was one of the worst VAR decisions I've seen in a very long time. Way worse than anything that happened in our match. Well worse.
By the way, first off, the fact that Cole Palmer in the form he is in doesn't finish that breakaway that happens right before is one thing. But 2, I agree that it is a foul. But the referee on the pitch decided that it was not a foul, and I don't think that is a clear and obvious error. No, it's not. Just not.
He was just stronger than him. Like, maybe there was a little bit of extra contact.
No, there was a little bit of push, and if he calls it a foul on the field, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I don't think it's overturnable. But anyways, if we get a win and then maybe a draw against Liverpool, top 4 is not done at all. But if we do not get 4 points or more from those 2 matches, top 4 is obviously done. And then, at that point, like, let's Mikey Moore.
Play Mikey Moore against the fucking Man City.
Get him in the side. I mean, I'm going to start saying we when it comes to Man City. We got a great result against Nottingham Forest. Like, it's we for the rest of the season.
Come on. I really think Man City are going to drop a point. Like, they are not playing their best football. They just are not.
So the only thing, well, one, they didn't have Foden, and you're a Foden hater, so you won't think that's that big of a deal, but he's been their best player all year. They didn't have Foden, and the bad thing is I think that goal for Haaland is going to be huge for him. That was a goal where it's extremely well taken. It looks calm on his right foot. Like, I wouldn't underestimate. It's not a huge goal in the grand scheme of things, but I think that is actually going to give him the confidence to go on. And if they somehow found their Haaland away at Forest for the rest of their run-in, that unfortunately ends the title race. Because if we're out of the top four,
Hey, he can score 5 goals in all the other games. It's just one game where we need him to score no goals. That's the thing. All it takes is one. All they have to do is slip up in one match, and they have a lot of matches left.
Okay, but you're also saying that as if Arsenal getting a win in every single one of their matches is a foregone conclusion.
No, it's not a foregone conclusion.
As if they're not playing a Bournemouth side who's in the second or third best form in the entire Premier League right now. Not saying they'll go and get a result, but it's a tough time to be playing Bournemouth without a doubt.
100%. I definitely agree. I also think Bournemouth are in such good form, they're going to kind of come to the Emirates and play their style of football, and that could be a massive mistake. I think I would rather be playing Bournemouth right now than having to go play Brentford, who are going to sit in a mid-block and frustrate, or go play Fulham, who are going to sit in a mid-block and frustrate the shit out of us, and potentially be fine with just getting a 0-0. Whereas Bournemouth is going to come try and play their nice little style of football, which could work excellently. Like Aston Villa, they came to us in their best possible side. They were sitting deep, and then they were like, when we have our chance, we're going to go out and hit you on the counter, and that's how they beat us. That's kind of the only way to beat us. Like, just looking at it. I mean, that's how Bayern beat us. That really is how most teams beat us. If you try and play, match us football for football skill, you saw Liverpool try and do it. They got killed.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool is a whole different story. They look out of ideas and unmotivated.
I mean, Salah's in the worst form of his career.
Yeah, you still have to play United, right? I mean, we agree they're absolutely atrocious, but like, they do have a bunch of 100 mil players, and if they decide we want to end Arsenal's title run, like, I feel like
I just hope Ten Hag is still there when we go there.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious. Every other fan base is like, has kind of accepted who Man City are, and it's like, oh, if we can't beat them, let's just keep winning. Like, no one wants to see Arsenal win the title. Like, I think even Manchester United fans want to see City win the title just because, like, who cares? Like, they're just going to win it again. Like, who cares?
I don't think anyone wants 4 in a row is a different beast from 3 in a row. Man, just like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, that's their closest rival. I mean, I was reading something today. It was like, everyone's like, oh, Manchester United should want to let Arsenal win. And someone was like, no, they hate us. And then someone was like, I'm a Manchester United season ticket holder, and we all want you guys to win the title over City 100%. Like,
yeah.
Well, us winning one title is not going to make us catch Manchester United's records, whereas Manchester City is surpassing the best Manchester United sides ever.
But it's going to be absolutely insufferable if you guys win.
Oh, I mean,
from everyone involved. Whereas
City, never care again about anything.
Whereas City will just be like, yeah, we're the best team in the world again, and we're like, yeah, we all know, like, that's correct. You're the best team. Last thing, and I texted you this right after the game, was Jared Bowen. I've watched a ton of West Ham. Maybe I haven't been locked in enough, or maybe it was the fact that I got to you get a different perspective on the match when you're actually there. I was absolutely blown away by Jared Bowen's performance, and I think if Salah leaves, and I mean, I think he gets into every single starting 11 outside of Arsenal's right now at right wing, and I think if West Ham don't get European football, I think he should be looking for a move out, because I think he could be starting for England at the 2026 World Cup. That's how high I am on him right now.
Take it down a notch. He's not starting.
I'm just saying.
He's not making the England squad in 2026, let alone starting. He's not making the England squad in 2024.
You're out of your mind if you don't think he's making the squad.
They're going to bring 4 right wingers.
If Marcus Rashford gets in over Jared Bowen...
Rashford 100% is getting in over Jared Bowen. He's a much better footballer.
No, not right now. He's not.
You have to take the context of Marcus Rashford over the last 3 years and not just this year. Listen, I'm as much of a Manchester United as anyone, but Marcus Rashford offers something that nobody else in the England side offers. So you can't not take that. Jared Bowen is redundant. He's a redundant player. He's a much worse right winger.
He's just better than Saka.
Come on. just grow up with the better than Saka. Saka should be winning the leader for the Player of the Year nomination right now. If Arsenal win the Premier League, he is the Player of the Year. He is the best player on the team that brought down a treble winning, a 3-time in a row winning Manchester City side that is the best side maybe in the history of football. Bukayo Saka will be Player of the Year and should be Player of the Year if Arsenal win the title. There's not even a debate. It's not even a question.
Is that all?
I mean, it's just like crazy to say. I love Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen is great. He plays for West Ham. He's had 2 good years in his 4 years that he's been there. He is fabulous as an outlet. In the right system, he can really succeed. He's a good goal scorer. He does not offer 1/3 of what Bukayo Saka or anyone else in the right wing conversation for England does.
Okay. Fair enough. That was just one of my takeaways. Is I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
I think he's great too. I'm not saying he's not fantastic, but it's not like you're either the worst player in the league or starting for right wing in England in the World Cup. There's a lot of middle ground between those two.
Yeah, there's some competition at right wing. That's for sure.
What do you want to bet on Saka starting at right wing in the first game of the Euros if he is there and healthy?
Absolutely nothing. How's that Achilles?
Not great. Ben Davies was going to fucking town on it. He was using his fucking Peter Luger steak knife to chop it up.
Yeah, Ben. But
he did limp all over your fucking poor ass side.
I mean, you just admitted that we may have been better side, so how poor could it be?
You're 20 points behind us, so.
Is that true?
20 points.
Wow.
Remember when you thought you were going to finish above me?
Game in hand.
That was funny. It was all that one game in hand. That was it.
All right. I think. Oh, and just. So I was writing down throughout both matches my favorite quotes that I heard from around me.
I love this. Let's do it.
So at the West Ham match, we had "Stay on sides, you fucking cunts," which was hilarious because he was talking about his own team, like on a free kick, telling them on an attacking free kick, telling them to stay on side, calling them fucking cunts, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And then, "Oh, get up, you soppy prick," when someone was rolling around on the ground. And then this made me crack up because someone was just like genuinely asking, like not even bantering, and just how he referred to him. Like the team sheets hadn't gone up on the screen yet, but he was asking because I had it on my phone. He was like, is Arsenal playing that rapist? And it was amazing because I know exactly who he was talking about. And then again, Tottenham fans talking about their own team in a positive way. Go on, you shit cunts. Which just their use of cunt is just absolutely fantastic.
It's fantastic, yeah. Need to get that over here ASAP.
Yeah,
that NBA games and whatnot.
Yeah, those were some.
I mean, I would get thrown out of Madison Square Garden if I was cheering on my own team, calling them shit cunts.
Yeah, no, it was a great experience, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, can we get a prediction for Munich and Madrid?
So I actually just saw Sane, Gnabry, and Musiala were all back in training when they were all questionable to play. So I think that's actually huge. I think they know they'll have to go for it because it'll be tough if they don't get a result. So I think it's actually going to be high scoring, and maybe they can defend. I want Bayern to win, so I'm going to say 2-1, but my head says 2-2, my heart says 2-1, and hopefully I just see Harry Kane score a goal. That was one of my biggest takeaways, actually, is that I miss him so much when Son was being an absolute non-threat. Having someone like Kane obviously would have been quite the addition.
Are you going to be creating any content while you're there?
No.
You should enjoy yourself.
Enjoying it.
Being a fan.
I'm doing my takeaways and such so I can keep the TikTok content rolling, but I know it's probably a miss, but I just wanted
fuck it. Enjoy yourself. You're on vacation, man.
Wanted to take it all in, but yeah, I'm excited. I paid an egregious amount for this ticket, and the guy emailed me saying, "Hey, sometimes at games of this stature, they give you problems if it doesn't match up name to ticket or whatever. So here's my phone number. I'll be at the stadium if you have any problems." So that was great for my anxiety going into the amount of money
you got into the other 2 games.
No, that was fantastic. It's always the heart's racing when whether or not the ticket's going to work. So I have confidence that the ticket I have will work. It's just a matter of if they'll let me into the stadium, and I paid a gross amount of money. So I'm praying that they do. And one thing is, we were at the Munich NFL game. There is no service around the
Nope.
stadium. So I don't know how the fuck I'm going to call this guy, even if I don't get in. So that's good. I'm actually
You'll
going to have
find
to
your
run.
way in. You're savvy.
Yeah, I'll fix. There's enough probably people. You'll find one security guy who doesn't give a fuck that I could get in. But yeah, that was just a thought that was going through my head. Quick prediction from you.
Madrid 2-1. 2-0. Bayern don't stand a chance.
So Arsenal's the best team in the world. Bayern beat Arsenal. Bayern don't. Got it.
Your big takeaway is going to be Madrid is better than Arsenal. I'm okay with that. I think I can stomach that.
No. I just didn't understand how they stand no chance.
Champions League's a different
if they beat the best team in the world. Oh, so you're not the best team in the world when it comes to the Champions League. Got it.
We're the best team in the world and the best league in the world, although we're not in first. Anyways, that's Yanks Abroad. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, give us a comment, whatever you want to do. Find us on social. We're doing some stuff that's not always on YouTube and whatnot. If you're seeing some stuff on our socials, you should come like and subscribe us on YouTube. Casey, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you.
I will see you in a week.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully to discuss the huge points that Manchester City has dropped on the weekend.
I doubt it, but I look forward to it.